Welcome back to the morning show here on the Rise News.
This year's theme for the World Press Freedom Day is Media for Democracy, Journalism and Elections in Times of Disinformation. Joining us now to speak on combating fake news in our old age profession and a whole lot more is President of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, Funke Egbemode. Funke, welcome to the morning show. Good to have you here.
Good morning.
And thank you for adjusting your program to accommodate us. I know you have a very busy schedule, so congratulations on your recent election. I know any leader would like to win election. But let's start first with your election. You completed the term of Femi Adesina, who was president of the Guild before he was appointed presidential spokesman, special advisor to President Buhari. Now you have your own time ahead of you. What's your agenda for the Guild of Editors and beyond that for Nigerian journalists?
Thank you very much, and it's good to be here. For me, as a leader of editors in the country, it's a great honor to have to lead these great men who have been in the profession for decades. This is my second term and final term. So we'll continue from where the last ESCO stopped. But most importantly, it's what's staring us in the face, especially in the print, is that we're in distress as an industry. The entire nation may have exited recession, but the media industry is in recession. And editors are leaders of this industry. And so I am looking seriously at doing as much as we can to look at new ways of funding the newsroom, because we are the team leaders as editors in the industry. We will partner with every organization, with every agencies across the world that can legally do so, on how to rejuvenate our funding, our profession, and to keep the newsroom going, because the new media has come into play, and the way things stand, unless we are in denial, we are not in a good place. So as editors, as a guild, we will find ways of partnering with agencies, bring in experts. So we'll be focusing more on training and retraining of editors in these next 2 years.
You sound like you have a bias for the print, and that's understandable. You are a print journalist, and I have an idea about your opinions about social media. So is the guild, are you suggesting that the guild is limited to print? And then how about the issues of welfare, which has been on the table, media houses not paying salaries, journalists becoming contractors, and every workaday politician who gets a position complaining about journalists misquoting, misrepresenting, because they think that journalists, they look down on journalists, as it were. How about raising the integrity of the profession?
We should not be in denial. And I'll tell you that as president of the guild is peopled by people from broadcast, from print, and nobody is really doing well. Not even those who have online platforms, the online publishers. Unless we are all pretending, nobody is doing well. We all know where we're coming from, where there was money in the banking industry for them to have big budget for advertising. They have little or nothing for advertising. So all of us are involved. It's not about just the print. Yes, I've spent 30 years in the print, so I tend to see a lot more, understand the print a lot more than I understand it. But I represent everybody now. So I also have members of my ESCO are people from everywhere. even on this exco, is an online publisher, Gabriel Akiadewo.
Formerly an editor.
Formerly
He came
an
from
editor.
print.
Yeah, so I'm able now to even get more information. But even with 30 years and rising from a freelance writer to being editor-in-chief, I understand a little bit about what everybody is going through. So integrity is not what we should talk about first. It's very difficult to tell an hungry man, to be honest. It's very difficult for a distressed industry to forget about the distress and think of defending everybody. You do not tell your security agencies to go to war without weapons. That's what the country is telling the media to do. Nobody supports us. We support everybody. We make everybody. And we shop in the same forex market with Dangote. And there is no backup, nothing for us. There's a problem in the telecoms industry. A certain telco was about to fail, and the economy rallied around to ensure there were no job losses. And that telco has a new name. When a bank was about to fail recently, they merged, and there were no job losses, and the two banks have merged recently, and they're standing strong. They just changed logos, and everything is hunky-dory. Does that happen to us? We report it. We defend everybody. Nobody comes to the rescue of a failing TV station. We know TV stations that have come and gone. We know online platforms that have come and gone. We know a beautiful, beautiful print outfit that died before he was even born. And everybody expects that, oh, the media has to do, because we are mentioned in the Constitution, we're supposed to work for everybody. Who does anything for us? Is there a bailout for us? When a media house is failing, does anybody attempt to bail us out? Do we have special funds for bringing in our consumables into the country? And all our consumables are imported. We don't make anything here. Meanwhile, everybody expects 100% performance from every media house and every practitioner. We need to take a second and a third and a fourth look at our needs and our expectations. Welfare of journalists. Media houses not paying salaries. As a reporter, as an editor even, I used to take serious exceptions to how can publishers not pay salaries. But as editor-in-chief, signing checks, I see it differently. If you don't make money, what are you supposed to do? Go back home and tell your father to bring money so you can pay your workers. You can't do that. It's a business. And we are the only industry that produces on a daily basis what people are likely not to buy on a daily basis. There are no unsold cement. There are no unsold Indomie. Take him back to Indomie. But we have to suffer all the indignities of being manufacturers, of being service providers. And the government stays back. And the economy looks at us and judges. Everybody just judges. It's not going to work. And we're not heading in the right direction because we are not looking at all the variables.
Much is made of corruption in journalism, as is in other parts of our society. But here you are giving the real perspective on what those factors are that cause it, so that people will take a less judgmental approach in analyzing these issues. Thank you for that. But still on the ethics of your profession is the proliferation of fake news. What are the factors causing this, and how can you and your Guild of Editors curtail that?
Fake news is a new term for gossip. Gossip has been with us since forever. You can't hold the guild or NUG or anybody responsible for fake news. We don't do fake news. We went to school. We are trained to give you what is real, what is true. But people just grab their phones and go on any platform to look for news. When you go to a strip club, you know what you're looking for. But when you go to church, you also know what you're looking for. So you cannot look for great news and not go to This Day. You don't go to Arise. You don't go to channels. You don't Google New Telegraph or go on our platform and find out what they are doing. And then you blame us again for fake news. You went to where fake news exists. You didn't go to where the real news exists. We need to continually clarify that. You can't go to a strip club and expect the gospel to be preached. You go to church for that. So I will implore everybody, please look for real news where it is written, where it's been broadcast. Are you
necessarily saying that the democratization of news, of access to information, that the social media phenomenon represents is a negative thing?
It is not a negative thing that everybody has. I actually love what the new media or the social media is doing, because it helps to let everybody know that you can't hide. Because the reporter can be in Kano and also be in Sokoto and still report in Lagos. But now, you snatch iPhone X and smash it to the ground, and it's on TV the following morning. So social media is great for all of us, but we must know what we're looking for and where we get them. We will continue as the what do we call it now, the traditional media. We will continue to do what we are known to do. We will look for the facts. We will balance the stories. But if people just go to sites, you know, in the last 3 days, I've been seeing a particular story that were reported, an experience that was shared about 6 years ago, and it still has breaking in front of it. The particular media house where the editor used to work no longer circulates. There's no longer mainstream. But they're still circulating it, and they're still on my old Girls Association platform. He was still posted.
As breaking.
As breaking. So we need to be careful where we shop, because different shops have different products.
Indeed. Let's talk about press freedom. In the latest Global Press Freedom ranking, the index by the Reporters Without Borders, Nigeria slipped one place from 119 to 120. Are you surprised by this? Is the Nigerian press truly free?
For me, press freedom is a journey. It's not a destination. Once upon a time, guerrilla journalism was part of our everyday lexicon. It's no longer so today. We are able to practice, we are able to even call out the president. In those days, I was in Punch when it was shut down, and we had to, watch our movements and decide whether it was safe to go out on a particular day or not. And publishers printed from wherever. On this week, 1 week, they are somewhere printing, and another week they can't afford to go back to that same press because their own main press has been shut down. So in terms of safety, of movement, of news, we are doing better. But like I said, it's a journey. We can do better.
No, let me help out to...
I have a follow-up to that, because
Okay.
in 2018, various sections of the media were under attacks. We had demolition of Fresh FM in Ibadan, the radio station by Inka Efele. We had journalists from Premium Times who were arrested. Ogundupe, in particular, who wrote a story about the then Samuel Ogundupe, who wrote a story about the then IGP and the siege in the National Assembly, and he refused to reveal his source, and he was arrested and arraigned. You had Daily Times that was raided by the military, and so many across the country, But which of this really troubled you as a journalist and 30 years in the media? You say we are doing better, but this kind of signals the dark ages of repressive government.
You didn't
and
even
press.
add the fact that the bill The Press Council Bill was also last year, and we had to virtually invade the National Assembly to tell them that we won't stand for it, we won't sit for it, we won't allow it to...
So the question is, how free, in your own assessment, is the press today or the media today in Nigeria? Because we have had cases of, you know, the incumbent government complaining about journalists, either as officials or as government. How free is the press in Nigeria?
We are not totally free. Like I said, it's a journey. And if the government stops complaining about us, then we're dead. They have to complain, they have to be uncomfortable. It's our job to make them uncomfortable. The Constitution allows us to speak truth to whatever it is they're doing. So, but it worries me that journalists are still being hounded where there are courts, when we have proper organs in journalism, in the industry, that you can report them to. That we all, even the Nigerian Guild of Editors, as president, have received petitions. People complaining about certain editors that, oh, they did this, and I said, we will handle it. It doesn't have to become a big issue. So you don't even have to take a journalist to court. The NUJ, the NPAN, the Nigerian Guild of Editors, we all have means of sorting these things out. So when a government decides that, begins to see us, not as partners, but as antagonists, there's reason to be worried, because eventually they will start attempting to curb our freedom. It doesn't work for anybody. It's an ill wind. If you begin to push the journalists, the industry, you continue to push until our back is against the wall, we'll fight back. And you don't want to fight the media. It's not a battle that anybody has won before, including Donald Trump.
So what is your take on the comments of the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Zainab Bokachua, saying that people should refrain from public analysis of the proceedings of the Presidential Election Tribunal panel, and that action will be taken against those who are errant?
I shake, I tremble when judges and justices speak, but you see, they know what they're doing in the courts and the judiciary. We also are trained to do what we're doing. We know what is in court. We know that there's something called court reporting. We will not go beyond what we have always done, but we will fight anything that tries to infringe on our constitutionally appointed rules. We will try. The media will not go out of its way to do what is illegal. We'll just hope our lords in the judiciary will also just leave us to do what we're told to do by the Constitution.
Let me take you back to this issue of the social media. There is this fear that a day will come, and I think I've written about this elsewhere, that the newspaper someday will disappear. Because, you know, even in other jurisdictions, you have newspapers closing shop, going online, and that the future lies in technology. Do you see a possibility someday that print journalists will become like antediluvian, obsolete,
look back, I think,
obsolete professionals, and the online media will dominate? Because now you don't even know who a journalist is. Everybody is a journalist.
I worry.
You only need a phone. What's your take?
I'm worried about people who are not trained for the job coming up with such terms and titles as citizen journalists. There are no citizen doctors. There are no citizen teachers. There are no citizen pharmacists. There are no citizen journalists. You're either a journalist or you're not.
One of the leading journalists in Nigeria today, recognizing internationally, is a citizen journalist.
It's just a title. I mean, you know there are titles everywhere. You did not go to a journalism school. You have not practiced anywhere, but you have a phone and you can tweet and you can say this is what is happening in your area. It doesn't make you a journalist. I do not know what others think, but I think since there is a profession called journalism, and it is a profession. You need to train to be a professional. There are no citizen auditors, for crying out loud. So why is it that there has to be citizen journalists? Let us all get trained. I'm not afraid of the future. Those of us running the newsrooms now, we're not afraid of the future. We're preparing for it. That is part of the training.
But do we even have a register of Nigerian journalists? Neither the NUJ or the Guild of Editors has a proper register. Why is that the case?
That is not true.
No, you know I know the story. Why is there not a proper register? Why is it that every Ministry of Information official, every blogger, is claiming the title of journalist?
We have a constitution in the Guild. I will not speak for the president of NUJ, but we have a constitution in the Guild. No, but
the Guild of Editors is the elite group. Mm-hmm. The parent group is the Union of Journalists.
Yeah.
So who is a journalist?
We have registered members. A journalist is somebody who has trained to do the job, who has spent a certain number of years plus training. And you are not, people just like to be part of a group that is doing good. That is why somebody has never written a story would think because he works for a Ministry of Information, he is a journalist. You've never written a story, you've not trained anywhere. And I don't want to forget to talk about the new media taking over the newspapers. It's a thought that has crossed the mind of everybody. That is part of why the new exco of the Guild will partner and see how it is done everywhere. And if, never say never that the newspapers won't disappear one day. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But don't forget that we once thought that the radio would disappear because the TV came. Well, the radio is still here. Just maybe we won't disappear. But we will prefer, we are preparing to do both. There is no newspaper that doesn't have an online platform now. We'll continue to get ready for the moment of change. But let's not forget that if you need 500 people to run this day as a newspaper, you probably will need 20 to run it as online. Is the country ready for 400, 500 trained, influential people being unemployed? I know the number of people that work in the New Telegraph, where I'm CEO, and I know that I don't need more than 20 or 22 of them if we go fully online. Is the economy ready to have people who have the kind of information and access that journalists have to be unemployed, unengaged? We're talking about insecurity. I don't even want to think about what it will mean if newspapers disappear in Nigeria now. They're disappearing because we're struggling. But we cannot say because it's happening in America, it has to happen now in Nigeria. We're not totally not ready for the newspapers, for the newspaper houses to fold up. It will compound our problems. Those people you are likely to lay off know too much. You do not want them to be unemployed.
Sounds like a threat. You've talked about
sounds like a warning to me and all of us.
Very ominous.
Well, you've talked about the challenges that a lot of people might not know. However, the ethics of the profession must always be upheld. And so let me talk about this certain level of distrust from the Nigerian public towards the Nigerian press, which is often accused of compromising truth on the altar of checkbook journalism, or brown envelope, as they call it. How do we change this narrative and regain the trust of the Nigerian public, especially with the infiltration of foreign media who are competing in the market now and tend to drive the narratives and tell our own stories?
We generally tend not to believe in ourselves. We love foreign stuff. We prefer if it is coming from somebody with a different color of skin. It's sad. But every time people tell me that Nigerian media houses don't do investigative journalism, I'm just like, has this person read the newspaper today or listened to the TV and the radio? The kind of things that I even get to hear sitting in my car in traffic. Things that I don't know exist. And people talk about. Reporters bring it in. We don't appreciate it. There is no newspaper you will pick today that has not investigated something. But if I'm not investigating your enemy, then I have not done investigative journalism. If you perceive that my front page is about PDP and you're in APC, then I'm biased. Then I've been compromised. Because our training does not allow us to take one side of any story. You take the two sides. We're not bloggers. I'm sorry, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. But we have addresses. We operate in physical buildings. There are things we are not allowed to do. There are ethics that we have to adhere to. It's unpleasing to a lot of people. But what can we do? We went to school. And they say that if you're in doubt, leave out. We can be sued. And we get sued strictly these days. Ask any CEO, ask any editor. We get sued these days strictly for billions. And whether you're going to win or not, you need to brief a lawyer. So whether you lose or win, you lose money. So we are not competing. We are not in a hurry to do things that those who operate from laptops do. We're just different. Our training is different. We are doing it differently on our online platforms, but you will not see, even on online platforms, This Day or Punch or The Sun trying to do what it has to retract, because it takes something from your integrity. So we'll continue to work hard. We're a profession that is in the face of everybody. So when there's this joke that when a lawyer speaks, everybody listens. When a doctor speaks, everybody listens. When a journalist speaks, everybody starts speaking. Everybody thinks that they have an opinion on what you do and how you should do it.
No, but people also say journalists don't support themselves. We had Dele Momodu here once, and he said when he was trying to run for president, the greatest opposition he got was from his own colleagues.
It is because we just like to criticize.
Okay.
And because you don't
so
want...
So dogs eat dogs these days?
No, they don't eat dogs. We have a different diet. And we just do our jobs and eat something else. We do not... Dogs don't eat dogs.
Well, we've talked a lot about the challenges of the practice of journalism. Let's hear some of the benefits of journalism in Nigeria today.
It's... you are in everybody's face, so you mention your name, you're a journalist, and everybody say, oh, I've heard the name before. And then we're influential. Nobody wants to cross you. Everybody wants to cut you, whether they are about to go into office or get out of office, because we make these leaders, even though some of them turn against us. And what they used to enjoy while they were aspiring to office, now when they are in office, they think it's poison, they think it's fake, they think it's disinformation. They tell us we provide oxygen for bad people and all of that. But, the beauty of being in this industry is nobody just disrespects you anyhow, because you can report the disrespect. It's a good way to earn a living, knowing that whatever you're doing, while some people are judging you, those who are supposed to listen are forced to listen.
Well, let's talk about you. I mean, you will be maybe the second woman to be president of the Guild of Editors. When you came and I saw you, I said you are one of our top girls. Maybe you were objecting to the word girls, you know. But you've been in this business and you've been able to hold your own. You've been editor, you've been columnist, you've been reporter, you've been editor-in-chief, managing director, president of the Guild. I mean, great journey. But how has it been for you? How do you feel to be one of the stars in a male-dominated industry?
I feel grateful to God. And then I thank the people. I feel grateful to those who mentored me and the support of my male colleagues. You know, I tell them that...
Like me?
Yeah. Yes. You know when I read you, sometimes when I read Dr. Abati, or I go and look for him online because I'm tense and I need something that I will be talking seriously and still make me laugh. So I have enjoyed the support of my male colleagues over the years, every time. I couldn't have come far or come this far without the support of everybody. It's really a good feeling. You know, a colleague came to my office. They're doing a book for UNICEF on women in journalism in Nigeria. And they came to interview me yesterday. So they wanted to trace my path. And it allowed me to remember a lot of things. And it's been a really long journey, but it's been fun. Tough, but fun. And it makes me feel good because I started as a youth corper, as a freelance writer, and here I am.
What will you
happy.
Consider your brightest moments? I mean, you moved from Punch, you became editor of Independent newspaper, you went to work in government, and then you came back, you went to The Sun, you became editor, and from The Sun, you became editor-in-chief, editor, managing director of The Telegraph. Where would you say you had your brightest moments? In government or in the newsroom?
Two bright moments. No, one bright, and then the other educative. Being in government showed me a different side of the industry. My brightest moment. There are plenty of bright moments, and I can't. You know, one day in Punch, I just woke up and decided that, okay, I'm tired. I want to move up. So I just said, God, please help me move up. And then I was on the staircase one day, and Angela Agwawike said, where have you been? They're looking for you in Post Express.
She went to work in OPEC later.
Yes.
Yeah,
and said they've been looking for you. They need an editor in Post Express. And your name came up, and we've been trying to look for you. I said, I've been on vacation. And just standing there, I was like, just like that, my prayer answered. And that's exactly the way I became editor of the Saturday Independent. I'm actually the pioneer editor of the Saturday Independent. It didn't exist. Yeah, so I was also at a wedding, and Mr. Muyiwa Adetiba tapped me and said, where have you been? I said, I've been in Abuja. I said, okay, we need an editor somewhere. You know, the way the jobs come, you know, they are usually not expected. I wasn't shopping for them. It just makes me happy that people recognize, even when I step out or step away, there is
or step aside.
Or step aside. People, you know, the people in the industry don't forget. And it's always a great honor to find my way back into the newsroom, even when I've stepped aside. But going to work for government, as you would have seen, Dr. Abati, is that you are able to sit on the other side and look at what your colleagues are doing. You're now on the receiving end. I learned a lot of lessons. I am more moderate. I became more moderate after serving in government. You know, when you fire darts, it's different from when darts are fired at you. So it has made me also, now I understand better how it feels to be a spokesperson, and because it's absolutely different from being an editor. But God has been kind. And you know, sometimes because I work among the guys, I tend to, once in a while, I forget that I'm even a girl.
Well, you know, working in government, I'm happy you mentioned that, because a lot of people will say, you know, bright journalists, great journalists, once they get to that side of the divide, you know, they no longer speak truth to power. What exactly makes them, you know, become the public relations extension, so to say, of the government?
Because it's a public relations job. It's not journalism. You don't expect Dr. Abati to write against or for anybody while there. As spokesperson of anybody, you only speak when that person speaks. You do not have a private voice. If you are the voice of a party, you are the voice of that party. And Nigerians love their columnists so much, they don't want to share them. So when you leave your column, they expect you to continue to represent them in government.
Exactly.
They expect you to continue. I mean, it's like you are the one representing their constituency. You're not supposed to now start warming up to opposition. So it becomes a problem of juggling these two difficult balls. So there is nothing you can do when you are a spokesperson.
Which
you just
do you
speak.
prefer? Which would you like to stick on to?
This is safer here, firing darts. Everybody knows that holding a gun is different. When you are holding the trigger, it's different from when you are the one about to dodge the bullet.
Great.
It's good
Well,
here.
but what would be your advice for young female journalists? You know, the newsroom, the way we have seen it, it's not, I don't necessarily believe that there's misogyny, you know, in the newsroom. But, you know, over the years, a lot of ladies come, very good book reviewers, very good reporters. Then one man, you know,
Marries them.
marries them off, and we don't have them in the newsroom again, or they move on to other things. What would be your advice? Because we would like to see greater diversity in the newsroom. How do we ensure greater diversity in the newsroom?
For female journalists, it's very important. I say it every time, even when I'm not asked. I always ask for space to say it. Who ends up as your partner will determine how far you can go. Because there is nothing like male discrimination like that in the newsroom that is different from what you have anywhere else. What discriminates, what limits us in the newsroom as women is nature. We have a job to keep the earth working. We need to populate the earth. We take time off to make babies, to raise children, and to keep our families together, to keep peace. Because if there is no peace in the home, there won't be peace anywhere. So we have to, as female journalists, do all of that. So when we take the time off, the guys move up quickly. They move into our seats. It's not their fault. They don't have to get pregnant or have to cope with morning sickness. So it's different. And when that happens, it limits us, it reduces the time that we have to give to the job. So please, girls, choose your partners carefully. Because if the man does not support you, if the man in your life does not support you, you cannot go far. Because it's a job that takes all of your time, all of your life. It's a job that does not allow you to be a proper daughter-in-law. It does not allow you to be a full-time wife. It does not allow you to be a full-time mom. You can't do homework and do PTA like your teacher friend. You know, there are no vacations. Sometimes there are no Sunday services. If a Ganifa Emi dies on a Sunday morning,
You will report
that
it.
ends the Sunday. You just go back to the office. So please don't marry a man going to London if you are heading to China. Don't marry a man who thinks that journalism is a job. It's a career. It's a calling. don't marry a man who sees you as somebody who has to make 3 meals for him all the time. You must give your husband a treat to let him know that he's married to a female journalist. But you see, if you marry a man who thinks that, how much are they paying you? That you are away all the time. You are not there to share breakfast with me. You are not there to put the kids to bed. See, they have just started this shopping complex. They just finished it down the road. Go and take 3 shops and pay. That's the end of it. You start going to Dubai. You start going to China. I don't want you go. I don't want my wife walking the way you walk. When you marry a man like that, whether he's rich or poor, you are supposed to be his partner and support him, but he doesn't want to support you. That ends the journalism.
Well, I hope our female colleagues are listening to you, and they will take to that advice. President Funke Egbemode. You are our president, in this business. We want to thank you for the leadership that you continue to provide, for the way you continue to inspire all of us, male and female. Well, thank you for coming to Arise News and to the morning show. As president of the Guild, you are not here on a private visit. So I hope that when you leave the studio, you will take the opportunity to pay an official visit to our newsroom and to interact with your constituents.
I will.
Thank you very much
for having
Thank
me.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All the best with the rest of your tenure.
Thank you.
It's time now for a short break on the morning show. When we return, we'll have Arise News analyst Emmanuel Afeni join us to review top stories in today's newspapers. Stay with us.